Hello, church. In our time together, we're going to be reading the story of Gideon and how his story reminds us and reassures us that God has a plan for our lives. We're going to be reading from Judges chapter 6, verse 12 to 16. The verses said, When the angel of the Lord appeared to Gideon, he said, The Lord is with you, mighty warrior. Pardon me, my Lord, Gideon replied, but if the Lord is with us, why has all this happened to us? Where are all his wonders that our ancestors told us about when he said, Did not the Lord bring us up out of Egypt? But now the Lord has abandoned us and given us into the hands of Midian. The Lord turned to him and said, Go in the strength you have and save Israel out of Midian's hand. Am I not sending you? Pardon me, my Lord, Gideon replied. But how can I save Israel? My clan is the weakest in Manasseh, and I am the least in my family. The Lord answered, I will be with you, and you will strike down all the Midianites, leaving none alive. These verses are so affirming. They help us to reflect that God's affirmation before our actions are based on his will. Verse 12 tells us that the Lord is with us. The Lord is with us as he was with Gideon. I'm with you, mighty warrior. Even before Gideon's act, God affirms him that he is with him. And it's the same for each one of us. God is with us. God doesn't leave us nor forsake us. And he gives us the confidence that we need to go ahead and move on with his plans. In our lives, God often speaks into our lives and into our fears and doubts by reminding us that he goes before us first. There's honesty when we question if we're qualified to do it, if we have the strength to do it, if we have the talents to do it, if we're smart enough to do it. And the same thing that Gideon replied with honesty. He was struggling and he says, if the Lord is with us, why have all this happened to our people? And later, he says, my clan is the weakest. I am the least in my family. Our doubts and questions, our feelings sometimes get the best out of us. But when we hear God's calling in our lives, we know that God will be there. We know that God is in control, and we know that God's plans for our lives are perfect in his timing. God also gives us command and presence. In verse 14, we see how God says, Go in the strength you have. Am I not sending you? And then in verse 16, he promised, I will be with you. If we notice how God doesn't wait until Gideon is fully ready, fully prepared, fully equipped, that he has to go to training first before he can move on and save his people. God knows what he's doing. He sends him now, he sends him out to fight for Israel. And in that, we have to just remember that God is sending us to do his work, whatever that is, and whenever that is. Maybe it's at home, maybe it's at work, maybe it's in the streets. Wherever God is sending us, we need to be reminded that God is already equipping us with his presence for us to do his will and for us to go and share the message. So in these few verses, we see a pattern. And what is that pattern? That God's calling, that God is there, and that we can respond to God and we can trust God because we know what he is doing. So let's reflect today in the areas that we're feeling weak, and let's ask God to help us feel equipped in those areas. If we feel that we are not enough or the least in the pack, we can just go and ask God to help us to align our will with his will, and to give us the strength that we need to go out and serve him and connect with others and tell others and share with others the good news, and to fight for him, because God will give us the strength and he will help us win. Amen.